Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Kaiser Report, where bold ideas meet sharp insights. Grab your coffee, settle in, because we got a few things to go through today, and we'll dive right into some of these stories and conversations that we may be able to have together in the next live broadcast. But anyway, the news outlets are all aglow this morning because it is the 100th day celebration in the White House, but in the White House only, because if you tune into mainstream media today, what you're going to get is a face full of all the failures that they deem failures of this administration in the first 100 days. It's like they live somewhere else away from here and don't understand exactly what the heck is going on. They just continue to take all of the negatives and run it through like that it's the truth. But we know now that it's lies, and 97% of all of the news media's coverage of this administration, 97% has been negative, where the only one coming through with any positive views on the first 100 days at all this morning was on a couple of shows on Fox and maybe a couple of postings on Newsmax and places of that nature. If you look at legacy media in the newspapers, all of the headlines are negative, negative, negative. So I don't know what country they're living in or why it continues to be a problem here with regard to getting into the truth of what is actually happening and going on with this administration and in this country. And if you listen to people like Jen Psaki, that idiot, fake redhead that sits out there, having been in the White House as a press secretary, you would think that she would know better because she ran for that job when she got it as that she was going to be the truthful person. She hasn't told anything but lies since she ended up in mainstream media with carrying the agenda that was put forth by somebody else for her to say every day. Let's just take a look at a clip right here.
You have a fake news that doesn't report it the way they should be reporting it. Look, the news has been proven to be totally fake.
And I traveled the world on trips to promote democracy, where I saw the power of the United States and, of course, the power of this podium and the power of truth. Share the truth even when it's hard to hear. And that's something that I hope to deliver on in this role as well.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades.
No matter how many times he or people around him say it, he didn't even win a majority of the vote, and that is just a fact. And yet Donald Trump thought he had a mandate to start a trade war. He thought he had a mandate to pick people like Pete Hegseth for his cabinet to oversee the Defense Department. He thought he had a mandate to effectively kidnap legal residents and ship them off to foreign prisons, but he never did. He thought he had a mandate to effectively kidnap legal residents and ship them off to foreign prisons.
There are a lot of dates and information about Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We've uncovered several pieces to the puzzle. Here's the timeline that we know of right now. Abrego Garcia, a Salvadorian national, entered the United States illegally. Court documents say he only ever lived in Maryland.
Kidnap legal residents and ship them off to foreign prisons.
Share the truth even when it's hard to hear. And that's something that I hope to deliver on in this role as well.
Now we're going to run a few tests. This is a simple lie detector. I'll ask you a few yes or no questions, and you just answer truthfully. Do you understand?
Kidnap legal residents and ship them off to foreign prisons.
It's incredible that she can get away with the things that she gets away with saying that are fabricated or so reworked and so far aloof from the truth. It's incredible. But there is that person every day talking to most of the public that has tuned in to those kinds of shows to get their information. So what we have is most of the population that is tuning in to the ABCs, CBSs, NBCs, CNBC, and CNN are getting false information. So they are not informed voters. They are not informed in what is currently going on in world affairs. And they certainly have no idea of what is going on with tariff negotiations or the economy of this country, which is growing right now rapidly. There are things that are happening with regard to bringing manufacturing back into this country and bringing it here with an investment in not only putting people to work, but to help regain our footing as far as getting manufacturing out of the hands of, in some cases, our enemies that are sitting on our drug supplies and things of even masks and rubber gloves and things that are needed for our healthcare system are coming out of foreign manufacturing facilities, which need to be brought home. Because if something does take place in this world, it's already upside down. The world has gone mad right in front of your eyes in some cases, and we cannot afford to be cut off from not only certain foodstuffs, but also the pharmaceutical products needed to maintain our health systems here in the United States. And then we have RFK Jr. that is trying to work to get our foodstuffs or the poisons removed from our foodstuffs, and they even are battling against that. They have all sorts of excuses, this left side. And then I'm not showing you anything on it because it's so ridiculous you can't believe it, but I'm sure you all heard about Spartacus and his real good close friend Hakeem Jeffries that did the big sit-in yesterday for so many hours. This is followed up by his 25-hour speech about nothing. The resistance. Where in the world did we ever think that we would see this country having to maneuver around its own Congress that is sitting in the streets singing out loud and out of tune because they are out of tune? The Democratic Party is so far out of tune, they're not reclaimable. That soundboard is warped. And if you don't believe it, turn on mainstream media and look at these morons. They're making idiots out of themselves with an end result being that they're going to be reelected. They're going to take over and get back in power, that they spent 4 years kowtowing to a man who has lost most of his mind and was just installed there as a puppet for someone else and some bureaucrats to make decisions using an auto pen and getting nowhere but further and deeper into debt. This country's debt is staggering. And yet they spent money out of this Congress like drunken sailors. The world has gone mad, is what it looks like. This country has a great percentage of people that are liking the job that is being done, and the media continually lies to everyone. And then we have foreigners sitting in the seats of our Congress that now want to bring impeachment back up as a viable move to do what? If they impeach him and were successful, it would have happened a long time ago. But this guy, with his loose-fitting teeth, made a jackass out of himself and made this big announcement yesterday, and I'll show you that. Just take a look here. It's mind-boggling.
This is Congressman Shri Thanedar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy. Real damage. But defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Ah, boy, here we go.
The court said the wrongfully deported Kaiser Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump.
I heard you the first time. You don't have to keep telling me. One time, that's all you gotta tell me.
In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership, it's tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law, that the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on all my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Tumbler! Seriously, I cannot understand a single word you're saying. Okie dokie.
Real.
So, this guy that wanted to sell you groceries out of a bodega and then extended warranties for your car, he believes that that he knows best on how to impeach. Articles of impeachment have been filed. Well, first of all, you can't understand half of what he says, and how he ever got voted into anything is beyond my understanding. So if you know, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to figure out from whence this guy came. But he'll be fodder for further memes down the road, I'm sure, because it's almost incredible. Totally incredible. And here's his original rant right here.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Representative Shri Thanedar files impeachment articles against President Trump. The Michigan Democrat accuses Trump of abuse of power and constitutional violations. Thanedar cites 7 articles, including denial of due process and unlawful deportations. The resolution also alleges misuse of the Department of Justice and defiance of court orders. The White House slams the move as desperate, defending Trump's actions as lawful. They say Trump is fulfilling his promises, securing the border, and restoring leadership. Democrats are currently currently in the minority in both the House and Senate. Impeachment is unlikely unless they regain control in the 2026 midterms. Trump is scheduled to rally in Michigan, a key battleground state. Tanadar says his actions are about protecting democracy, not partisanship. Trump was impeached twice during his first term, but acquitted by the Senate.
So there it is. This is not something that was made up like in the first clip there. It's true. And he'll have people going along with him, and you know that Shifty Schiff will be right there with him, advising him on how not to make the mistakes that he made in the last attempt at impeachment. So there's plenty of things for us to look at in today's broadcast, so much that it is almost impossible to put it all in the time frame we have here. But I'm trying to let you know that this world is a little upside down right now, and we need to just grab onto happiness and smile as often as we can. And when you encounter one of these people that agree with the people like you just had witnessed here, and the news media people that are just sitting there with a smile on their face and lying to you. But in CNBC and Morning Joe and those places over there, you don't get smiles on faces unless they find the gotcha thing to come out against somebody in Trump's cabinet with, and then they smile. It's not the way it should be. The news should be the news. It should be read to you as it happened, and you should be discerning enough to understand and pick apart the truth from the fiction. And there should not be fiction added to the truth to make you decide which one to listen to. But this is what media does, and they do it with abandon. And it's almost super critical of everything Trump, and wonderful with everything Democrat. How much more plain can you be about where your loyalty lies when you're supposed to be giving unvarnished news out to people? And then we have the remake of the Democratic Party, which is, being run by Bernie, AOC, Hakeem Jeffries, Spartacus there from Hunger, and the like. And Jessica Tarloff, when she's on the 5 every day, will defend them and wield them like a sword against anybody that points out the ridiculousness of what they're doing on the left side with the singing and the sit-ins and the fake filibusters and the lies on the media channels when they're asked to be on. It's incredible. But let's think about AOC, who thinks that she's the new face of the party, a face without a brain, a face without a clue of anything. Let's just think why she wasn't included in the all-girl space flight that didn't take place as billed that it would. Imagine if she went to space, AOC. Be a great place for her. But imagine if she ran into the likes of the Star Trek crew while she was on her space voyage. Incredible. Take a look here for a laugh, and this is today's funny. So have a look.
Captain, a most curious development on scanner 5-7.
Let's all take a look at it, Mr. Spock.
Screen on, Captain.
But I am, of course, the dynamic there in terms of geopolitics and the war in the Middle East is very different than people expressing their First Amendment right to protest.
Well,
Yes, but I also think that what people are starting to see, at least in the occupation of Palestine, is just an increasing crisis of humanitarian condition. And that to me is just where I tend to come from on this issue.
You use the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also just, I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue.
I will destroy it. Fire phasers. Mr. Chekhov, take us out of orbit, warp factor 2, and hurry.
Well, I had to put that up because there's nothing more amusing than AOC in my estimation, because she can make a jackass out of herself very quickly, and then we should nickname her Hee-Haw, but what are you gonna do? So that'll bring us down to what's going on with the Putin-Ukraine deal. I guess there's some discussion continuing there after the meeting at the Vatican with Zelensky. I think there may be some upcoming progress very soon on that. As far as the tariff situations over there and it's going to be okay. Things are going to happen. India will come to the table probably almost immediately, and that will be the template for them fixing the rest of the tariff situations around the world and put us back into a position to where it will not hurt us, it will benefit us. And if you only have a short period of time and a short attention span, he did this in his first presidency, and it worked. And if it wasn't for COVID, which was released by our friends there in China, we all know this now with the help of Fauci and the Democratic regime that was in place at the time, it would have continued, but it didn't. COVID hurt the world. COVID hurt the world in the worst possible way. We all know that now, but it's coming back, and we're readjusting, and it's not done in 100 days. It's not done in 130 days. It will be, however, accomplished in this 4-year stint. If we get the morons that are in Congress to go along with a plan that will help all of us live better lives. But they want to resist. They're writing it on the walls, folks. They're resisting everything this president has in mind to do to bring this country back to the #1 position in the world for trade, for military might, and protection of our citizens. And I think it's absolutely great that we are rounding up the criminal element that the Biden-Harris administration let pour into this country, for once and for all, we have somebody that will pay attention to what the law says. And Morning Jackass over there and his wife can say all they want about how illegal it is to be kidnapping a Baltimore resident, Father of the Year. And then the rest of the bums that were rounded up take a walk up to the White House, and now the street is lined where the press conferences are taking place. The outside press junkets have to see these signs behind them, and they are plentiful of people listing the crimes that they have committed. So don't even start about due process. Where was the due process for the people that they murdered, raped, stole from, or killed by automobile accidents and the like? They haven't even started on rounding up the Chinese nationals that are in this country, set up in cells somewhere where near a military base or a missile silo. What's that about? We haven't gotten into that yet. What's Congress going to say when we round them up? I think if you look deep and hard enough into what is going on, you're going to find out that there have been people getting very wealthy over the fact that we have let in these people. We have NGO programs going on that have spent billions of dollars taking care of these illegal entries going into this country with no accountability, not to mention the amount of children that were handed over to NGOs that they cannot find these kids today. And they got paid every month for it. And it was approved by our Congress. Some of those very same people sitting on those steps out in front yesterday, like morons, telling you what's wrong with this administration. Let me tell you what's wrong with this administration if you want to go there. What's wrong with this administration is the reluctance and the resistance of Congress to work with this administration to get the jobs done and get the promises that were made into reality. There is the break in democracy that we were threatened for 4 years would happen if Trump was elected. Well, guess what, folks? They're the ones that are having the break in democracy right now in resisting into what 77 million people, American citizens, had to say on November 5th of 2024. And they better wake up and realize that the same 77 million people are watching every move you make. And if you think you're going to magically use an eraser to take all of this away come the midterm elections and come elections in 2028, you have another thing coming. So you better wake up there in Congress and do the job that your constituents sent you to Washington to accomplish. Not act like sixth grade children sitting on a front step of a stoop trying to convince somebody that their scooter doesn't run right. Get on your scooter and push, and it will roll. And that's what I'm telling you, Congress, to do to help this administration achieve the prosperity and the recognition that he is fighting so hard to put us back in the world's eye. And that's enough of that. But today in stupidity, we have a couple of clips here for you that will kind of sum up some of the idiocy that is going on there in Stupid Town, Washington, D.C., and around the sanctuary cities of the United States. Take a look at these clips.
It seems to me that Trump having a judge arrested is a reckless and desperate move.
I regard it very much within the prism of what we've been dealing with over the last month, which is an intense assault on judicial independence. They have been disobeying federal court orders systematically. They have incurred criminal contempt findings in the courtroom of Judge Boasberg, a conservative Republican judge. They have been demanding the impeachment of judges who rule against the lawlessness of the Trump administration. There are now more than 90 preliminary injunctions and temporary restraining orders against the chaos that's been unleashed on the country by the Trump administration. And now they're arresting judges. All of the people in the Trump administration who participated in defying that order by Judge Boasberg themselves could be arrested for interfering with a legal proceeding and perhaps other criminal charges like kidnapping.
No one is above the law. In Milwaukee, an illegal alien from Mexico was in court being prosecuted for domestic violence. The judge, Hannah Dugan, learned that ICE was outside to arrest him after court. She is now charged with obstruction of justice for sneaking this criminal defendant, an illegal alien, out a back exit through her chambers to avoid his arrest, leaving the victims and prosecutors sitting in court all morning waiting on justice. In New Mexico, law enforcement was tipped off that Judge Joel Cano had a TDA member living in his home. The judge and his wife allegedly gave him access to assault rifles, one with a suppressor, to go to a shooting range to perfect his skills. The Trump administration will fight for victims. The rule of law is very simple. It doesn't matter what line of work you're in. If you break the law, we will follow the facts and we will prosecute you.
I am your retribution. I am your retribution. Not going to let this happen.
Kind of issue. You know, it's one of those 80-20 issues that the Democrats have been on the wrong side of. Where are you on this?
My number one priority is to make sure we're not adding to the difficulty that LGBT or trans youth face right now, because they're being used as the fulcrum of cultural warfare.
By both sides or just one?
Well, I think predominantly by the Republican side. It's the Republicans who are airing all the ads. I just watched the announcement of a Senate candidate, and they chose to profile in their Senate ad an attack on trans people.
Adam Shifty Shifts. Can you believe this guy? He's got the smallest neck I've ever seen and the biggest head. We call him watermelon head. I'd say, how could that big fat face stand on a neck that looked like this finger? It's a mystery.
Yeah, Democrats are assholes. We've got a major problem.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
Well, it's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday one more time. We've had our giggles here this morning, I'm sure. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. And we got our words out to the public today. And that's our job here, is to pick apart what you cannot get out of regular media. And with that, Kaiser and I are going to say to you, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for some more Star Trek, because I think we can get some more coming. So God bless you all. Bye-bye now.